Welcome to Opinion. You see, judge, when a judge is related to a case or in some form related to a case that he is going to pass his judgment in, the judge is normally recused from that case, which means he is asked to go out of that case and another judge is appointed in his place. Likewise, even referees, match referees. You see, normally a match referee, more often than not, a match referee is a person who doesn't belong to the country that is actually playing on the field. The match referee belongs to a third country. Why? So that the match referee doesn't belong or doesn't take sides or doesn't have personal interest on a particular team that is playing in the ground. So the point that I'm trying to make is, normally when you are a judge or when you are an evaluator, you are not part of the people who are participating in the competition. Why am I saying all this? You see, your vote, our vote, is possibly the most important thing that we do for our democracy. The most important thing. Now imagine, when we vote, are we voting as a citizen of our country or are we voting as a supporter of a particular political party? Now, if we were voting as a supporter of a particular political party, then there is a conflict of interest, isn't it? Because then you are not voting for the best government for your country, you are possibly voting to ensure that your favorite party wins. Now, when you want to ensure that your favorite party wins, what is happening is you really don't bother about the positives and the negatives of that particular party. You don't bother about what that party has done good for the country and what that party has not done for the country. You don't really bother about that, do you? What you are bothered about is you are bothered about making that party win this election. That's what you're bothered about. Now, when you bother about that, then the country doesn't get the best government. Your favorite political party may win the election. And that is not necessarily good for democracy, is it? That's the point I wanted to make today. You see, what really happens more often than not is, when you are talking about, when you discuss politics, when you talk about politics, when you analyze politics, you normally look at it from a third person point of view. That is how it should be. When you go to vote, you are an evaluator. You are a person who is evaluating the performance of the government or performance of the opposition. So when you go out to evaluate, you should evaluate as a third party, as an outsider, and look what the government has done good, what the government has not delivered. Look how efficient the government was and what are the flaws that the government did. And if you find that the government has been flawless, been doing a fantastic job, then your evaluation should be to vote for that particular government. If you feel that the government is flawed and there's a lot of things that the government is not doing right, then your next thought should be, do we have an opposition that can take over from the government and can deliver what this government cannot? If you have, then you vote for that particular opposition party. If you don't, then possibly you have to relook at the entire situation once again and then reassess the entire situation once again. Isn't that how it has to be done? The problem is when, like I told you, when we are part of a political party. So we think for that political party, our intention is to ensure that that political party wins. And that's precisely why I wanted to talk to you. We are 1 year from our general elections. We are 1 year from choosing our government in the center. The one thing that we should keep in mind is, when we are going to vote out there, we need to definitely figure out whether are we voting because we are biased towards that party, or we want that party to win, or are we voting because it is the best political party around? That's point number one. Point number two is, why am I talking about this? I will tell you. You see, more often than not, when a lot of people, when a lot of analysts, when a lot of people who talk about politics, when they comment on politics, you comment about Rahul Gandhi and you get a lot of people. If you comment something, say, something not so good about Rahul Gandhi, or not so good about Arvind Kejriwal, or not so good about Narendra Modi, you have people who will abuse you when you don't comment, when you comment something which is not so good about Rahul Gandhi. You have people who abuse you when you comment something which is not so good about Arvind Kejriwal, and you have people who abuse you when you don't comment something not so good about Narendra Modi. What does that mean? That means is the viewer who is actually viewing your social media, who are actually viewing your video or your comment, they are viewing it from a party prism. They are not viewing the video, they are not viewing the analysis, they are not viewing your comment because they want to understand what is the other side, or they want to look at it from a different angle, or they want to understand the point of view which they couldn't see before. It is not that they are viewing it that way. They are viewing it from the prism of saying that, listen, my party, and he is saying bad things about my party, so he is a bad man. So the point that I am trying to make is that the way we should view analysis? Is that the way we should view politics? This is what triggered me to talk on this particular topic. And that's why I brought this topic to your notice. And the last topic before I end this opinion is, there was a statement made by this gentleman called Kailash Vijayvargiya. He is the General Secretary of Bharatiya Janata Party, where he said that, listen, you know what, women look like Surpanaka. Surpanaka is Ravan's sister. He said that women look like Surpanaka when they are dressed, the way they dress. They have to dress well, they have to dress properly. I presume he was possibly questioning women who were dressed in Western clothes, or dressed in clothes which they prefer to wear. You see, he said, women represent goddesses. They are like goddesses. And when they are dressed badly, then they are not dressed well, appropriately, they look like Surpanaka, Ravan's sister. That's what he said. The thing is, first and foremost is what I question is, you see, when you look at goddess, you look at the divinity of that goddess. I really don't think one looks at the dress that goddess wears. In fact, one doesn't. It's only the divinity that one talks about. And I think Mr. Vijayvargiya needs to understand that he too, when he looks at women and he feels and he thinks that women are goddesses, which is a very nice thing to say, when you look at them, you should look at their divinity and not what the girls wear. See, the most important thing, the point actually to all this is, the first thing about regression is the society starts regressing women. That's how this entire concept of regression starts. Look at Taliban, what they're doing to women there. Any society that gets into regression, the first thing they target are women. Nobody has the right to decide what a woman wants to wear. Nobody has the right to decide whether she should wear skirts, she should wear jeans, or whether she should sari, or wear. The culture has got nothing to do with what a woman wears. Culture is basically how a man and woman behaves. That's what culture is. What she wears or what he wears too is not a very vital part of culture. And that's something that a lot of people who talks about tradition, who talks about culture, should understand. I want to end my opinion with that particular point, and till I see you next time. Namaskar.